We are living through a period in which many of the certainties that have defined global order for decades, including multilateral institutions, predictable trade systems, and a long-standing security alliance, are today faltering. Conflict has returned to the center of international affairs, from Ukraine in recent years to Middle East in recent weeks. Trade routes have assumed new strategic significance, as reflected in the rising tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. Security, meanwhile, is no longer confined to territorial borders. It is now extending into the cyberspace, energy systems, and critical infrastructure. At the same time, technological change is advancing at a pace that governance systems are struggling to match. Climate pressures are no longer projections. They are an immediate and lived reality for hundreds of millions across the world. We are adopting innovative financing models anchored in partnership. We are identifying commercially viable public projects and working with both domestic and international private sector partners to bring them to fruition, creating a genuine win-win outcome, sustainable returns for investors, and improved services for citizens without necessarily imposing additional strain on public debt or taxation. Public-private partnership has become a cornerstone of our development paradigm. Through our National Infrastructure Fund and Sovereign Wealth Fund, we are mobilizing public and private, domestic and foreign capital for finance, especially for major priority projects. And we have a portfolio of close to 40 billion euros of projects over the next 7 years. Mr. President, distinguished guests, Kenya's national aspirations are inseparable from the destiny of Africa. We must recall the solemn commitment that gave rise to the United Nations 80 decades ago, which said to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice brought untold suffering to humanity. That commitment, never again, was not a mere slogan. It was a covenant with humanity. I wish to reiterate the following. And mark my words. When power begins to outweigh principle, when established norms lose their authority, when might is allowed to define right, and when the international community stands divided or paralyzed in the face of aggression, we move dangerously close to the precipice of global disorder and anarchy. This is a future that we must collectively and decisively reject. For too long, we, especially in leadership, have tolerated the average, and by so doing, constrained our ambition. But that era has come to an end. Today, we are raising the scale of our ambition with a clear objective: to transform Kenya into a first world economy within our lifetime. And we are doing this through three critical priority pillars. First, We are undertaking a rapid expansion of critical transport and connectivity infrastructure, including 28,000 kilometers of road, new airports, and seaports. And over the decade, we have committed to more than doubling our paved road network, modernizing our airports and ports and logistics hubs, because we recognize that connectivity is the backbone of economic transformation. Second, we are strengthening our export-led agricultural transformation and food security system through large-scale irrigation, anchored in the construction of at least 50 mega dams to bring over 2.5 million acres of land into productive use. Indeed, a key outcome of my visit to Italy is to advance the development of at least 3 of these strategic projects. Third, we are working to more than triple our installed electricity capacity within the next 7 years to uptake modern technology, power industrial growth, and sustain economic expansion. Industrialization requires energy that is reliable, affordable, and sufficient to match the pace of enterprise. Than a world that appears to be drifting towards an
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, in this room and downstairs. And thank you so much to the students for your questions. It is my belief that we have agreed that
where the strong act with impunity, why we cannot, in good conscience, speak.
Invested heavily in green energy. Yet the conflict in Iran demonstrates